Hello everybody, Matthew Armstrong here on day 61 of our 90-day life transformation process from mediocrity to mastery. Great pleasure to be speaking with you again today. We're reading from the book The Values Factor by Dr. John Demartini. You can get this book from drdemartini.com. We're still in it's a huge chapter of the book, the Unleashing Your Vitality, Health and Wellness chapter. And we're nearing the end, 2 more days on this. The healing power of the values factor will be our reading for today. And it's really about just changing our attitude, isn't it? Right? It's our attitude that changes our world. It's our attitude that creates our life and our destiny. Our attitude towards anything, right? Isn't that what's more important than anything? I believe so. I believe attitude is more important than anything, and attitude is more powerful than anything, right? It's the most important, the most powerful thing that we have, and guess what? Guess what? We're in control. We're at the control levers of our attitude, right? We have the power, right? The force is with us. May the force be with you. The force is with us. It's always with us, because we have at our fingertips the most powerful thing that we could ever have. And that truly is our attitude. It truly is. When we can really see it, and it was William James that said that there's been no greater discovery of for mankind than the discovery that we can change our lives by changing our attitudes of mind. And I'm paraphrasing that slightly, because I don't remember the exact quote. But something along those lines. Greatest discovery of mankind. That we can change our lives by changing our attitudes of mind. You can contemplate on that all day, because that is profound. And I've heard that statement, I've read that statement, I've listened to it, and from various teachers saying it over the years, over and over again. And each time it has a deeper impact on me, how true it is, and how empowering it is. How empowering it is to realize that, to really realize that. It's like, wow, I can do anything. Once you realize that it's your attitude will take you further in life than anything, once you truly realize that, then it unlocks the gates, right? And you can roam free, and you can really do whatever you want in the world. Once you truly realize that, and you're in control of your attitude. Most important thing and most powerful thing. Yeah. So I want to get right into this reading, because we're going through about 9 or 10 pages today. Just this one story, powerful story. You're going to get so many insights, so many ahas from hearing this story from Dr. Demartini. The healing power of the values factor. A couple of years ago, I was involved in filming selected clients to develop a video for my Demartini method trained facilitators on the subtle details of my method. I worked with a wide variety of people: a former top movie executive who had been overcome by schizophrenia and became homeless, a man with a drug addiction, a woman who was working through her experience of rape that she considered highly traumatic. I also worked with a woman who struggled with compulsive eating, whose story made a great impression on me. I thought she exemplified to me the prophetic words of William James, the father of modern psychology. James emphasized that the greatest discovery of his generation was that human beings can alter their lives by altering their perceptions and attitudes of mind. I have seen this happen with all sorts of issues, but his insight becomes particularly dramatic when it comes to the fields of wellness, well-being and vitality. In fact, I actually saw his insight happening before my eyes, for this woman's life changed when her attitude changed. So let me share with you how this story played out. This woman viewed herself as being addicted to food. I could see that she was grazing continuously even while I was working with her. I believe she literally ate more during our session than I consumed in a week. Wow. This woman said to me, "You have to help me. I can't stop eating. You have to help me." Well, that was her conscious mind saying, "I want to stop eating. This thing is killing me. Just look at me." But look a little deeper. Because what her conscious mind was really saying was, I should stop. I shouldn't be eating this way. I ought to be eating differently. She was speaking out of should and ought, all this imperative language that came from those authorities whose values she had injected into herself and absorbed. It doesn't matter whether she would have benefited from what she thought she should be doing. What matters is that her conscious mind was saying, I should stop eating, but her unconscious mind was obviously saying, I want to eat. And in any battle between the conscious and the unconscious mind generally wins. That was why she hadn't been able to stop. So the first thing I said to her was, I want us to identify the 150 benefits you are getting out of your eating. She said, there are no benefits. I said, I am certain that there are. No human being will ever move a muscle without a motive, nor act in some way unless there are more advantages than disadvantages, more benefits than drawbacks. Deep inside you, there are benefits to your eating, and our first step is to uncover them. You're probably receiving benefits in all the different areas of your life, spiritually, mentally, professionally, financially, with your family, socially, and physically. So let's go through all those areas and look for the unconscious, hidden benefits of your continued overeating. Well, first we find out that her mother was obese, her sister was obese, her brother was obese, and her father was obese. So if she wasn't obese, she didn't fit in with her family. When she realized that, tears came to her eyes. Then we find out that her sister, who was 2 years older than she was bigger than she was and used to push her around and beat her up. So she grew up getting beaten up by her sister, until she decided that she was going to eat more than her sister so that she would be the bigger one and could push her sister back. She just started lifting weights, right? That was 2 benefits. I was shooting for 150. Then we find the third one. Every time she attempted to lose weight, she noticed that her skin sagged. She said, I can't handle that. So she would eat to get her skin smooth again. These are very common ones, you know. We uncovered something else. At one point, she had tried a radical diet and temporarily lost a lot of weight. At that point, a guy approached her and ended up having sex with her. She became pregnant and then he dumped her. She had made herself very vulnerable to this guy, and when she became pregnant and he left, she was devastated and ended up choosing to have an abortion. So she unconsciously chose not to keep losing weight because that would make her vulnerable again, and because she had associated losing weight with her ordeal. We kept going like this, and by the end of our work that day, we had uncovered 79 unconscious benefits accompanied by many tears of realization. That night, since she had gotten the hang of it, she went back for the rest of the 150. She came in the next day and said to me, I really have no intention of losing weight, do I? I didn't judge her, I didn't condemn her, I didn't say she was wrong, I simply said, now it's time to hug yourself. She couldn't believe it. She asked why. I said, because you are brilliant enough to create 150 benefits with one act, eating. That is ingenious. Give yourself a hug. She laughed, but she appreciated what I was saying. She said, I'm beginning to see how empowered I felt by that one act. I know it isn't healthy, but I did get lots of benefits, didn't I? I said, you surely did, and I am not ever going to tell you that you can't eat. But I am going to tell you that you will now pivot those 150 benefits into a variety of other actions, which I call viable alternatives. So you can take those actions, or you can eat without being right or wrong about it. She said, what do I do? For each one of the 150 benefits, I had her come up with 4 or 5 viable alternatives, ways of getting those same benefits besides eating. For example, she could be part of her family by watching TV with them, going to church with them, or helping them with their garage sale. She could stand up to her sister by talking to her, learning martial arts, or asking a respected authority to mediate their conflict. She went through every single benefit, and by the time we were done, she had more than 500 viable alternatives to eating, although some of them were duplicates, so really it was more like a total of 40. This discovery of viable alternatives is a crucial part of the process because, contrary to much conventional wisdom, addiction is not a disease, it is a strategy. People become addicted to certain substances or behaviors because they believe that they will derive more benefit than disadvantage from those substances or behaviors. If they can see that they will derive more benefit from some other behaviors, the viable alternatives, they will drop the addiction and turn to those new behaviors. After this woman had identified her key viable alternatives, I had her identify her own highest values, using the same procedure that I showed you in chapter 2, so that she could relate these alternatives to the values that were most important to her. Finally, I had her link her 5 most frequent and most viable alternatives with her highest values, creating hundreds of links between her top 5 viable alternatives and her top 5 highest values. The creation of multiple links is not simply a psychological exercise, it is a way of literally reshaping the brain, creating hundreds of neural connections that did not exist before. Once the brain has been reshaped in this way, new actions and responses become possible. This woman's top 5 viable alternatives to eating were: go to church with my family, watch television or go to the movies with my family, develop an attractive weight, fashion style and overall look so that I feel less vulnerable to rejection from men because I appreciate my looks and my desirability and will not rush into relationships blindly. Take martial arts classes so that I feel strong and powerful, and also so that my body will be toned and more attractive. Practice assertiveness so that I set strong boundaries with my sister, my family, the men I date, and others in my professional world, so that I no longer need layers of fat to protect myself. This woman's 5 highest values were: being close to my family, achieving recognition and acknowledgement, finding a loving partner and creating a family of my own, feeling sexual and desirable, feeling stylish and fashionable. So we began to create hundreds of links between each of her highest values and each of her new viable alternatives to eating. For example, here are some of the ways that we link the value of achieving recognition and acknowledgement to taking a martial arts class. Taking a martial arts class will help me achieve recognition and acknowledgement because 1. I will fight fiercely for the recognition I desire. 2. I will have a more toned body, which increases my chances of being hired for a job on television, which is my chosen path to recognition and acknowledgement. 3. I will receive recognition and acknowledgement from my martial arts teacher. 4. I will receive recognition and acknowledgement from my fellow students. 5. I will recognize and acknowledge myself for my achievements in this class. 6. Martial arts training includes developing a balanced mind, and this will be of great service in my efforts to pursue my goals of work in TV, because I will not feel disappointed or frustrated, but will be a warrior for my goals. A warrior, not a warrior. I will be more likely to stand centered before my family, so I will not be affected by the various opinions of me. We continued until we had from 5 to 20 links between each viable alternative and each highest value. When this linking was complete, the woman was overcome with enthusiasm for the new action she was inspired to take. Looking at her, I could see that she had already begun to restructure her brain. Next, we worked to detach her original behavior, overeating, from the 5 highest values she had identified. I asked her, how is overeating interfering with your top 5 values? We began identifying the drawbacks to her overeating. No guilt, no shame, just the drawbacks. It is unwise to point out the assumed drawbacks to people's addictive behaviors until they have truly remyelinated new viable alternatives into their brain. Otherwise, focusing on the drawbacks can create anxiety, guilt, and shame, which just add fuel to the addiction. For example, if we had begun with this part of the process before identifying viable alternatives, all this woman would hear is, overeating is keeping you from achieving your highest values, making her feel ashamed, guilty, and self-deprecating. Without a viable alternative to overeating, she would feel unable to give up this strategy, and so proving to her that this strategy was not helpful to her would only make her feel worse. By contrast, once you have a viable option to pursue, you become willing to understand how your previous strategy was once serving you but is no longer the most useful strategy, and so you become willing to give it up. But for the new strategy to become truly viable, you need to go through the linking process, creating hundreds of new neural connections in your brain. It is not enough to simply understand that you have new viable strategies open to you. That would be like saying that picking up a barbell once is enough to develop new muscle, because your body understands how to lift the weight. What changes your body is lifting the barbell many times over and over until the muscle has been developed, right? And what changes your brain is making hundreds of links between your new strategies and your highest values until the new pathways within your brain have been developed. The last step in the process was to help this woman identify the subdictions that were driving her addiction. A subdiction is something you want to avoid remembering, something that is extremely challenging to your highest values and you perceive as painful in your life. For example, this woman had a subdiction about her family's rejection of her. This was in fact a one-sided perception, because even if her family did reject her for losing weight, other people elsewhere in her life welcomed and embraced her. Yet the woman was so preoccupied with avoiding the pain of her family's rejection that she turned to the strategy of overeating in order to get her family to accept her and thereby avoid that pain. Helping her to develop a more balanced view, balancing her family's rejection of her with other people's openness, meant that she no longer had any need to avoid that pain and therefore no need to overeat. Likewise, this woman had a subdiction about her loss of the man with whom she got pregnant and who then left. This was very painful memory, and as we have seen, part of the reason she overate was to avoid repeating such an occurrence in the future. But if she took a more balanced view, understanding that the other men would stay with her if she communicated in terms of their highest values, even though that man left, she would not have to overeat or do anything else in order to prevent being abandoned. Because she would understand that any loss is always balanced by a gain, and any man who left her would always be balanced by a potential mate who wanted to stay. A balanced perspective also helped her let go of the one-sided fantasy of an ideal man who would never think of abandoning her, and to embrace the realities of a universe that always contains equal measures of pain and pleasure, negative and positive, challenge and support. So I went through and used the DeMartini method to dissolve each subdiction until there was nothing left to say except thank you. This woman was spontaneously filled with unconditional love and gratitude for her life just as it was, not as her fantasies would have it, but as it actually was, perfectly balanced as all lives are, between pleasure and pain, support and challenge, positive and negative. In response, her eating disorder was dissolved and she was able to go on to a new life. Until those subdictions are dissolved to the point where you can say thank you, and where you can see that you are not a victim of your history, you won't master your destiny. Because whatever you try to run away from, you will keep running into. Whatever you condemn, you attract, breed, and become. Whatever you bury, buries you. Whatever you resist, persists. But once the subdictions are gone and there is appreciation, then wellness returns and your addiction subsides. This entire process works in a remarkable fashion. I have contemplated it with heroin addicts who became completely inspired and can't wait to get up in the next morning to fulfill their values on this new pathway. In fact, I worked with one man who had been addicted to heroin for 6 years, but who came completely off the drug without side effects or withdrawal symptoms. That's because addictive behaviors and side effects are not so much caused by withdrawal from the drug as they are by withdrawal from the fantasies they have associated with the drug. If you dissolve the fantasies by means of the understanding the drawbacks and clear the subdictions, those withdrawal symptoms subside. You are free to feel the wholeness of unconditional love and gratitude, and to let those feelings return you to the state and awareness of wellness. And there you have it, folks. Some of the most deepest insights into human behavior you'll ever hear anywhere. And you're hearing it right here from me. Not that it's coming via me, right? Via me. It's coming via me from Dr. Demartini. Such deep insights, and each time I read that I get deeper insights. And if that's the first time you've come across this work, this understanding and Dr. Demartini, then you're going to have to listen to that and read it many times to act and see how it plays out in your own life. Find your own examples to really grasp it and to get deeper insights. Because if it's your first time, you'll get some things, but the deeper you go, the deeper it goes. Powerful stuff. It always leaves an impact on me after I finish. That's why I talk before I read, and then afterwards I have really nothing to say, because he kind of says it all, doesn't he? So that's us again for today. Repetition is the mother of skill. So listen to that over and over again, read it over and over again, and I look forward to seeing you again, speaking with you again tomorrow. So make sure you tune in then. If you haven't already, you can join my subscriber list. Click on the link below, enter your details, and if you want to join my team to create financial freedom online, then you can do that too by clicking on the link below, putting your details. We have a proven system, step by step, 1, 2, 3, to create an online income, become financially free. So you go ahead, click on the link below, and you can do that too. Thanks for watching. See you next time.